Ladies and gentlemen, it is the one, the only Brian Redgrave with my review of WrestleMania 38, Night 1, which means part 1 of a two-parter, like last year, the year before that. In my personal opinion, the two-night aspect of WrestleMania works better than having one night for like 6 hours. Granted, this was a long pay-per-view. It was a long pay-per-view, and leading up to WrestleMania, I was not excited. I was not excited at all, almost, to be honest. The card was looking weak, and I was like, oh my god, like, come on now. It honestly was looking like, in my opinion, like one of the weakest WrestleMania cards I've ever seen in my life. So it is with that being said that I can gladly report that, at least so far, WrestleMania 38 is not a complete failure like I thought it was going to be. Because WrestleMania 38, Night 1, was actually pretty good. So I usually go one by one with matches, but I'm kind of going to give a quick overview of my overall feelings on the pay-per-view, Night 1 of WrestleMania, because I'm a little tight on time, father duties and all. So honestly, like I said, going into the pay-per-view, I was like, whatever. And as soon as it started, I was like, okay, let's get this started. And the first match was Shinsuke Nakamura, Rick Books versus the Usos for the titles, in a match that I swear to God probably didn't, was maybe 5-6 minutes, if that. When it ended kind of abruptly, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, WrestleMania, this is not what you want to see. And I was already very disappointed and very negative. I was like, oh no. There's nothing memorable about the match. Nothing special happened. And it was really short. And if the Usos are going to retain and win, that's fine. Let the Usos win and retain. But turns out that Mr. Rick Boogs actually legitimately got hurt in the match. At one point, he picked up one of the Usos over his shoulder, and then the other Uso jumped onto the other Uso. So he had both of them kind of stacked up, and his, knee buckled. And I thought it was part of the show. I thought it was scripted. I thought it was, the way they did it. It turns out, no, he got legitimately hurt. That was a legitimate injury, and then they had to change the finish right there. And it was reported that the Usos were always going to win, but it was just the finish was done differently as to what was supposed to happen. So, I guess if that's the case, maybe I can't hold it too much against it. But injury or not, the match itself was a disappointment. And, it really had potential to be a good match. But, there was an injury involved, so we can't be too hard on it. After that, we had Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. That match was probably the one match that I was like, of night one, I'm like, the one I was looking forward to the least. I love Drew McIntyre. And nothing against Corbin, because I like Corbin. I just don't like the Happy Corbin gimmick. I really don't. So, and this whole feud's been going on for so long. It's been dragging. And it was like, whatever. And then the match happened, and it's... bleh? Nothing really, again, nothing important of anything major happened that I was like, oh god, like, this is WrestleMania. This is the most stupendous WrestleMania. So we have a 5-minute match and a forgettable Corbin Drew match, which Drew deserves better. And again, nothing against Corbin. I like Corbin, but this is just not the character for him, in my opinion. And the match was, pretty whack. And there was something that I just saw coming. I even told my friend about it. Before the match even started, I told him nobody's ever kicked out of the end of days. In the what 6-7 years he's had that finisher, nobody has ever kicked out. And I told him, watch Drew McIntyre be the first one to kick out. Lord and behold, end of days, Drew McIntyre kicked out, and Michael Cole even said, I think it was Michael Cole who even said it. Oh, that's the first time anybody's ever kicked out of the end of days. Which I guess is cool. It makes Drew look strong. And okay, that's fine. Let's make Drew look strong. But don't devalue the finisher. And I know some people are going to go like, oh, it's only the first time it happens. but don't let it keep happening. Keep the finisher protected. That if you kick out, you must be really good at wrestling. You must be really good, strong. Drew did it. Don't do it again for a while. Make sure the finisher stays protected despite somebody having kicked out already. So it won't be the same, but it's still protected. It's a dope finisher. So yeah, that match was kind of forgettable. And then the night actually got better from there forward, as in the Mysterios took on Logan Paul and The Miz, in which it wasn't a masterpiece by any means, but respect to Logan Paul, who gave us a respectable performance. I'm not gonna say he was a fucking amazing. I don't think his performance, as a celebrity, I think Bad Bunny last year set the standard for celebrities in wrestling, and Logan Paul doesn't reach Bad Bunny levels of good as a celebrity wrestling, but he was, it was respectable. There were some times that you could see him going, throwing hits that you could clearly see weren't landing and were completely missing and were completely off every so often. It wasn't all the time, but I did notice it 3 different times. But again, it's not necessarily what he does, and what he did do was respectable. He did have some great heel work, taunting, talking. The one part I honestly had to laugh that the crowd just booed him out the building, was Rey Mysterio was going for the three amigos but failed at two amigos. And then later on, Logan Paul will do the three amigos, get on the top rope, do the Eddie shaking type of thing, with his shoulders, and do the 5-star frog splash. And the crowd was just booing him, and it would have been great if they would have won right there. Now they did win. I just wish they would have won one right there, but they eventually did pick up the victory, which is shocking, right? Miz and Logan Paul winning against the Mysterios. I kind of did not see that coming, to be honest. But I was happy with the result. I mean, fuck. The Miz gets shitted on a lot. And you know what? The Miz lost to a celebrity last year. It's only fair he won one with one this year. So, yeah, they won. And interestingly, then, the Miz turned on Logan Paul with the, the face-crushing finale. I forgot the name there for a second. And, laid him out. To the way I see it, I don't see it as a face turn. I see it more as a, there's only room big enough for one of us, and gotta be me, because that's the Miz character, the ego. He's the biggest star, not really, but at least he thinks he is. So yeah, the match itself was actually pretty fun. Like I said, it wasn't some masterpiece that you gotta go watch this, but it definitely was an improvement over the first two matches, and it was definitely, in my opinion, a fun match. I had fun watching it. Like I said, I was, after two downers starting off the night, definitely from here forward, the pay-per-view really, really did pick up a lot. So the one thing about Logan Paul's performance that really was irking me, and I thought it was just me, and a friend of mine told me the same thing as he finished the match. He texted me, his selling. He would be taken down, and he was kind of getting up kind of faster than he really should have been. And I know he's not a professional, but we've seen other celebrities sell a little better. Like, this dude was getting dropped and just standing a couple seconds later faster than he should. And there was times where there was a time where the Miz was kind of getting trash, and and you see Logan just standing outside, like, just waiting for his cue, waiting for his moment. Like, that should have been a time he should have just been laying out, selling, to then get up and save the Miz. You could just see it. I just feel like that's the one area where he truly did. It was a selling. Even the ending, he got hit with the face crushing finale, and he should have been out for a while. And he got out pretty fast. I'm like, huh. Now the question is this it for Miz and Logan Paul, or will Logan Paul maybe have another one-off, maybe with the Miz at some point, or who really knows? I mean, we saw him last year at WrestleMania. He got stunned by Kevin Owens, and this year he gets hit with the face crushing finale. It's pretty funny. He got hit with the 619, so he's just getting hit by all the finishers. So let's see what finisher he gets hit with next year at this rate. But definitely a fun match. And if you wanted to watch WrestleMania, I could easily tell you, skip the first two and watch the show from here forward. Because honestly, from here forward, there wasn't really anything bad. For him forward, the pay per view there was the fire lit right under its ass that was never put out for the rest of the show, which is really good. After this came, I was shocked about something. So after that match came Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship, which I have no problem with. Right, I have no problem with. It's one of the matches I think was gonna be good. It was a little weird because that match was booked in here, and later in the night, they also had Ronda Rousey and Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So they chose to book both of the women's world titles in the same night, and yet neither of them main evented. I understand why they weren't in the main event now, which I'll talk about that a little bit more later in the review. But it seems weird that one of them wasn't put on Sunday and then one Saturday, and then you could have had a different match on Sunday take place on Saturday, like Bobby versus Almost, just to get it out the way, or the tag title one. So I found that weird, but I'm not complaining because, well, Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair was really good. It was honestly, see, where the Logan Paul Mason was a good, fun match. This was the first great, like, this is a good wrestling match right here. Like, they were just going at it. And you should have expected a good wrestling match, and they delivered. They're both really good. And to be honest, the way it started was really it was really interesting because Becky Lynch tried to replay her SummerSlam thing, where she tried to go for the manhandle slam, the rock bottom, almost immediately, and she did hit it, but it didn't hit the 1, 2, 3. It was just one. I think it was stopped at 2, 1, 2, and then she kicked out Bianca. But the match was just back and forth, and there were some close finishes that I'm like, I know Bianca is gonna win. I personally wanted Becky to retain, but there was some good finishes in there, close finishes. That I was just confused. I'm like, wait a minute, who's actually gonna win this? So it was actually quite really good with some good spots, some really painful spots. At one point, Bianca had Becky on her shoulders, and then I thought she was gonna go for the KOD from the top turnbuckle, from like the turnbuckle, but no, she just jumped out the way, let Becky fall right into the turnbuckle. It looked painful. There was the disarmer quite a few times, and Bianca kept going for her signatures and all that, and Becky kept getting out of them and all that. Like, it was a really good, well done match. I don't have any complaints, and obviously, see, this is the thing. Now that Becky lost, you can build Bianca even stronger. And that's what I feel like they should do with Roman losing, but I'm not gonna get into that. I mean, because the thing is, Becky's been booked so strong that now that she's lost, that person gets to, you know, be booked strong too. Have a talent that can take advantage of that to make a new star. And Bianca's been a star for a while, but give her the push like to the moon now. Now I'm not saying make her the next Charlotte by any means, but definitely take advantage, book her strong. Now I'm going to assume they're probably gonna have a rematch going forward in the next pay per view. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? I know they don't do automatic rematches anymore, but if they do, it's probably gonna be good. But if they don't, it'll be interesting to see where Becky goes from here. Because Bianca is being champion, I'm sure she has a line of contenders waiting for her. But what's next for Becky now that she's not champion anymore? It'll be interesting because Becky's been champion a long time. I mean, she became champion when she came back, and before she ever left, she was champion for a while already. So it's definitely interesting. I did like Becky's attire. I thought that was dope. I thought Bianca's entrance was kind of dumb, in my personal opinion. But yeah, overall, it was a really good match. So I enjoyed it, and it was the first great match of the night, in which was, quite fire, honestly. You should definitely watch it. So after that was Seth freaking Rollins versus Vacant. Obviously, as long as you're not blind, you know who that opponent is based on the picture you're seeing right now. So, who was Seth freaking Rollins' secret opponent? The worst kept secret in the internet, because everybody knew who it was going to be, because the wrestling snitches like Dave Meltzer and the rest had already reported on it. and had literally said it was a done deal, like they knew for sure. So a part of me, because of that, thought WWE was gonna troll and fucking have like Shane McMahon come out there or some underwhelming fucking opponent, and then save Cody for the Raw after WrestleMania. But that was not the case. Cody Rhodes fucking, I don't want to say debut because he's been here before, but re-debuted for WWE as his first match back in 6 years, and not Stardust this time. Cody Rhodes came out to his AEW song, dope. I personally like that song. So yeah, the crowd gave him quite a pop. I enjoyed that. It was good, well deserved, and shit. Honestly, as long as they don't fuck this up, this is gonna be a good ride for him. So how was the match? After the crowd, when Bananas at first when he showed up, like holy shit, it's Cody Rhodes, and this is a big deal, right? Because Cody Rhodes is the first AEW to WWE jump. We've seen so many WWE guys jump to AEW, but this is the first true AEW guy to WWE jump. Even though some of you might argue, oh, he's a WWE guy original before anything, but that's not even the point. You guys know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. So honestly, he got to the ring. They had a big stare down for a while. Then they started, with the even stuff, and then the match started, and it was kind of slow, and to me was looking just a little sluggish in the very beginning, and the crowd had gone quiet for a bit there. But after a slow few first minutes, the match really got started, and once it got started, there was no fucking going back, because once the match got going, the match was so fucking straight fire all throughout, with reversals and back and forth, both men looking strong. Fucking Seth Rollins told them, "Welcome back to the big leagues, bitch." I was like, "Oh my god, like that's that's pretty funny." Though not, it's funny. It was funny. At one point, fucking Cody Rhodes did like the cartwheel thing and then the Stardust pose, which is funny because he used to be Stardust, and well, many of us aren't a fan of that gimmick, but it's good. That's like I believe it was Cody Graves who said it best: shedding the skins of the past. So it was a cool, neat moment because it's like, remember me, guys? How I used to be Stardust. Look at me now, because Cody Rhodes now is a much bigger star than he was when he left. So honestly, the match is just back and forth, and then Seth trying to go for the curb stomps a couple times, going for the pedigree a couple times. I didn't even know who was gonna win because I'm here. The match was just, it was so close, finishes so close. I don't even know who was gonna win. Like fucking at one point, Seth hit the pedigree, and I really thought, I'm like, oh no, Cody's losing his first match. And in his first match, his WrestleMania, like crazier things have happened. It didn't mean it was impossible. And when wrestling can do that, it doesn't happen very often. And when it can do that, it's great. And even fucking he hit the crossroads and Seth Rollins kicked out. So I was like, oh my god. I'm like, I don't know who's gonna take it. Eventually, fucking Cody Rhodes did the crossroad twice. And then he did the strikes like his father used to do, and then he did the whole fucking thing with the face and hit him, and then went for a third crossroad. If this was WWE 2K22, that motherfucker had the 3 finishers and the signature. And then he put out Seth Rollins, and it was really well done. It was a really good match. It was a strong fucking finish, and it took Seth Rollins essentially 3 finishers to be put down, and that's quite the protection of Seth Rollins. Also, even in defeat, is it taking 11 fucking curb stop like the Fiend took? No, but 3 finishers. There's still 3 finishers. That's without counting the one he had hit earlier. So if you want to look at it, he had to hit him with 4 in total. That was a really good match. Honestly, you should definitely check it out. If you're a Cody Rhodes fan, check it out. If you've never seen Cody Rhodes, you should still check it out. And we'll see what the future is for him. There's a lot of opponents Cody could face that weren't around when he left the company. So yeah, Cody won, and so obviously was the right call. it's the right story because Seth Rollins wanted his WrestleMania moment, and now Cody's back, and he got his WrestleMania moment. So yeah, this particular match, just like the one before it, was fucking great, and it was just pure fire. And it's just like I said, the pay per view was just firing in all fucking cylinders. And the next match was no different. Next up was Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair. Oh my god. So I'm not gonna yell because my son is sleeping, and if I yell, he's gonna wake up, and then that'll be something I gotta deal with. So I'm not gonna yell. Because trust me, if he was awake, I'd be cursing up a storm right now. So let's break this down. Was Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair a good match? Yes, it was a really good match. I would even say it was a great match. It was a match that, it was good. It was really good. It was back and forth. Both women get to show off what they got, what they bring. Similar to the Becky match and the Cody match, neither of those matches were made to make anyone look stronger than the other. They each had their moments to shine. Rollins and Rhodes, Bianca and Becky, and here was no different. And those are the best types of matches because you make both competitors look strong, and they both look like they know what they're doing and they can wrestle. So that was fine. The match itself, in terms of the wrestling, was really good. This isn't the first time they go at it. I don't think it's going to be the last one they go at it based on the ending. So, I'm going to tell you right now, I wanted Ronda Rousey to win. So, with that, I'm telling you, Charlotte won this match. And I really wanted Ronda to win because, for one, I'm not saying the Rumble winners need to win all the fucking time. But, like, when you win the Rumble, the whole point is going to WrestleMania to win that belt. Like, that's the thing. And I hate when they do that. I hate when Shinsuke won the Rumble to lose a WrestleMania. And then you had Asuka win the Rumble to lose a WrestleMania. Like, in a way, it really makes the Rumble feel irrelevant when you look back on it because that big moment didn't have that payoff that you were supposed to be given. So, Ronda winning the Rumble was my favorite part of the Rumble that night. I love Ronda Rousey, and I feel like people who hate on her, she can't wrestle. You guys, I don't know what you're watching. She can definitely wrestle. And trust me, if you think otherwise, show me how you wrestle and see if you really wrestle better than her. So I feel like she gets a little. She's treated unfairly by some fans. So, but okay, if Charlotte was gonna win, my God, just it's like Charlotte has to win every fucking match. I'm trying to not curse up a storm because like I said, Charlotte just wins all the fucking time. So how does she? And then the way it ended, the way she won really is what pissed me off. So back and forth match, like I said, they were going at it. At one point in the match, Ronda Rousey was distracted. And Charlotte surprised her with the natural selection. If you don't know, natural selection is her finisher besides the figure eight. And Ronda was still able to kick out, even though she got hit by surprise because Ronda was arguing with the referee. Because at one point, Ronda hit Piper's Pit. The referee counted to 3, 1, 2, 3, but then said no because Charlotte's foot was on the rope. Right there was problem number one. The referee is supposed to technically see the foot on the rope before he counts to 3. He literally counted 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. No. Her foot's on the rope. No. She don't win. What? She counted to 3. We've seen this type of thing happen all the time where, the foot's on the rope, but you already counted to 3, so I guess you got to get a rematch or something. We've seen this so many times, so all of a sudden, that goes out the window just because they decided it goes out the window. And then when she was arguing with the ref, that's when Charlotte comes in, natural selection, and I'm here about to fucking pull my hair out of my head. And 1, 2, and boom, she kicked out. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, maybe Ronda will win this. But later in the night, again, Charlotte, I think she speared the referee. I think that's what it was. Then Ronda takes her on the armbar. Charlotte taps. Then Ronda goes check on the ref to see, yo, get the fuck up. She's tapping. And then Charlotte runs and hits her with the big boot. Just a boot. Just ran and hit her with a boot. 1, 2, 3. It wasn't a signature. It wasn't a finisher. It wasn't even a legitimately believable move to finish somebody. Like, the big boot. The big boot? Like, Kane has done big boots. Taker. They ain't no win matches with that shit. And last time I checked, she ain't doing the bro kick now, is she? It's not. That's just the fucking. She ran and booted her in the face. 1, 2, 3. If you were gonna go for a distraction type finish like that, she got distracted with the referee. I would have preferred you got hit with natural selection or something that legitimately you could go, okay, yeah, I can see how that knocked her out. But no, that wasn't the case. So it's just I couldn't help but roll my eyes because, like I said, I personally didn't want Charlotte to win. But that's not even the problem. It's how she won. It's just the move that took her out. Just like it just made Ronda look like pathetic. Like boop, she got taken out by a boot. That's where my problem with the match was. But overall, was the match good? Yes, the match was great. Finish aside, this clearly is meant to set up a rematch, and maybe I will want to blow up a storm, curse up a storm, if in the rematch, we get at least a clean finish, decisive finish. So, okay, now before I talk about the main event, I personally thought up to this point that Ronda Rousey should have closed out the main event with Charlotte, but then it became clear of one thing. With that type of finish, it's probably one of the reasons they didn't close out the show. And 2, the Kevin Owens, Stone Cold Steve Austin thing, I was like, if Stone Cold's going to wrestle, I can understand why he's going to main event WrestleMania. It's fucking Stone Cold doesn't wrestle in 19 years. He definitely should be the one to main event WrestleMania. Stone Cold. If it's just a talk show, which is what they promoted, the Kevin Owens show, yeah, you are going to end WrestleMania on a talking segment where Steve will probably just stunner Kevin Owens and call it a day. So up to that point, I was like, why didn't Ron just main event? Oh, okay, that finish explains it. Then why didn't Cody main event? Close out with Cody. But now we know why. So we get to the ending of WrestleMania. It's already been 3 hours and 20 minutes, and this pay-per-view is still going. Kevin Owens comes down. The KO showstop is on the signs are there. The chairs are down. And I told my friend Jordan, Stone Cold has to wrestle if he's closing. They can't close this out with a fucking talking segment. They just cannot. It's just not WrestleMania-like. So he didn't think he would. So, okay. Kevin Owens there ranting and fucking trashing fucking Texas like he's been doing for the past 2 months. Trashing it, and, being funny. He's funny. He's a great heel. Eventually, Stone Cold music hits. Fucking storms out. Starts popping the crowd, going to the corner, raising the hands. And then he leaves. Goes back out. I thought for a minute there he was just going to take off his shirt because he came out with these like short jeans and shirt. I thought he was going to take him off to wrestle, right? Like come out with the way he used to wrestle with that little wrestling underwear. No, he came out in like a little those I don't even know what they call those 4-wheelers and ATVs. I don't know. I'm not really sure what it's called. But he came out, started driving around the ring and all that, got the crowd popping, going crazy, and it was good. It was cool. I like Stone Cold. I really do. So, and he gets in the ring. And he's there with the crowd, and he starts throwing the Kevin Owens stuff out, right? The signs and all that. Then Kevin Owens starts running his mouth, and they start talking. And eventually Steve sits, blah, blah, blah. And, Stone Cold made the comment of, you really brought me out here to talk, blah, blah, blah. They kept talking. And Kevin Owens told them, I tricked you. I didn't bring you out here to talk. I brought you out here because I want to fight. I want to fight you. So I was like, it's happening. It's happening. Stone Cold and Kevin Owens. I couldn't help but actually get excited because I'm like, it's actually happening. And I was telling Jordan all night. If he's main eventing, there has to be a reason. He has to wrestle. He has to wrestle. He has to wrestle. So, but a part of me at the same time was like, they're gonna pull some kind of trick on us. They're gonna pull some kind of trick. Stone Cold might not be cleared to wrestle. Stone Cold might not be in good shape to wrestle. Eventually, they get the chairs out. Stone Cold accepts, says, let's bring the referee. By the way, Kevin Owens said the match was going to be no holds barred. And then the referee's coming down. And then the crowd's going bananas. And I'm going bananas. And I'm here thinking, I'm not going to get too excited until the bell rings. Here's the thing. Then the bell did ring. And I started to think, okay, the match is official. It started. But the match is no holds barred. So what if Stone Cold's not that clear? Is not really clear to wrestle, or maybe he can't wrestle, and they go for this angle where somebody comes out to help Steve and attacks Kevin Owens, and does most of the heavy lifting for Stone Cold, because maybe he's still hurt, maybe his knees and neck are bad and whatnot. So, but no, I'm glad to say and glad to report that was not the case. There was no interference, no help, nobody else came out. It was just Stone Cold and Kevin Owens. And then I was like, okay, this match probably it's not gonna go very long. Probably 3, 4, 5 minutes maybe. Also, no, the match went on a lot longer than I expected. And no holds bar, they wrestled in the ring. And for the most part, Kevin Owens did get off his end there. But I want to report that for the most part, Stone Cold whooped Kevin Owens' ass. So, yeah, Stone Cold pretty much dominated the majority of this match. And that's okay. You know, Kevin Owens sold good for Steve. So they were wrestling inside the ring. They were wrestling outside the ring. They broke a table at one point. As he's wrestling, fucking Stone Cold's drinking beers. As he's wrestling, drinking, punching. It was really funny stuff. It was really entertaining stuff to watch. So they fucking wrestled through the crowd. I got scared because of Steve's health and conditions and all that. At one point, he took a power suplex, not a power. I'm sorry, a suplex in concrete, and I'm like, Steve's dead. I'm like, Steve's dead. And I worry about the wrestlers, right? Because they're there to entertain us. Same thing with Edge got clear and Daniel Bryan. At the beginning, I used to worry. I'm like, oh no, my God, what if they're hurt? Because of they had to retire. Same thing. At one point, he got hit into the ring post, and I'm like, Steve's dead, and I just can't help it because of the way their health might be in jeopardy or in danger. But no, I don't think Steve was hurt at any point. I give him credit. He fucking taking that bump in the concrete, like I said, when he took the suplex. But that aside, it was just going back and forth into the crowd until they fought up the ramp. Cause at one point, I'm not sure if Kevin Owens was trying to escape. I'm not sure if he was trying to escape or what he was trying to do, but he was trying to get in the four-wheeler, looking for the keys, and then Stone Cold attacked him. He got in the four-wheeler and drove to the top of the stage with Mr. Kevin Owens and started beating his ass up in the stage. Like I said, he fucking laid a stomp mud hole on Kevin Owens. It was really good. And eventually they fought the way back down. And more beer and more punching and more beatdowns. And eventually, fucking Kevin Owens hit a surprise stunner. And I was like, oh no. They're doing it. Kevin Owens is gonna win. Which, to be fair, if he would have, it's a way of Steve putting him over. But Kevin Owens is already a made man. 20 plus years in the business. The dude doesn't need to be put over to be legitimate. He's not here to put somebody over. He's already a made man. He's already a legitimate dude, Kevin Owens. So Stone Cold kicked out. And at one point, Kevin Owens was in control again. Grabbed the chair, went to swing the chair. Stone Cold got out of the way. When he went to swing the chair, he hit the rope, which caused the chair to bounce back, hit him in the head. So we had a head shot. I don't know if that was intentional or accidental because he got hit in the head. And they don't do head hits anymore with chairs, so I'm not sure. And then that led to Stone Cold hitting him with the stunner, 1, 2, 3, celebration, beers, all the good stuff you like to see with Steve Austin. The match was not a short match. No, it was definitely longer than the Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura match and the Usos. Um, so yeah, it was honestly really good. I personally really enjoyed it a lot. Stone Cold did not make a fool out of himself. He didn't look bad out there like when Shawn Michaels came out of retirement for that Brothers of Destruction DX match. Was it a technical masterpiece? No. Was it a great wrestling match like the Cody and the Seth and stuff like that? No. It was more of a brawl and hitting him and all that. But it did its job correctly. Stone Cold looked pretty good out there. Stone Cold won, got the crowd popping. He had the great moments with the beer. He celebrated. He even hit Byron Saxton with a Stone Cold Stunner, which is kind of a repeat of 2 years ago, but maybe people didn't see that because that was during the pandemic era where there was no crowd. So maybe to you, it might have been a new spot. I know I've seen it before, but it didn't change the fact that it was a good spot regardless. Because Byron Saxton is surprisingly really good at taking the stunner. And I know he used to wrestle, but still, he's surprisingly good at taking the stunner. So, yeah, overall, it was crazy because this WrestleMania going in had Seth Rollins versus Mystery Opponent, which was the worst kept secret, but regardless, they didn't promote Cody. And then they promoted Kevin and Steve as a talk show, not as a match. Maybe, I'm pretty sure out there somebody would have been like, oh shit, if I knew Stone Cold was going to wrestle, I would have watched it or I would have bought it or something. So, credit to them for trying to keep it a secret. I just knew they were going to wrestle. Because if you've seen any of Steve Austin's interviews and stuff when he talked about it, it's been 19 years now I got in that ring and all that. Like, I'm like, dude, why are you talking like you're going to wrestle if it's just a talk show? You've hit stunners before in special Raws and SmackDowns and anniversary shows. So, why are you talking like this? So, yeah, no, Stone Cold whooped ass, to be honest. Steve Austin was Steve Austin. And he sent the crowd happy. And I was happy with the match. And like I said, it wasn't a terrible Shawn Michaels performance like when Shawn came out of retirement. It might have not been in the level of Rock and Cena, but it's a good in between that it was still enjoyable to watch, and it's definitely one I probably rewatch down the line again. So, how was night one of the most stupendous WrestleMania 38? How was night one? As a person who was not excited for WrestleMania at all, because I thought the card looked weak and it looked shitty, I am happy to report that night one was honestly a success. So, I usually do ups and downs as matches are happening. I'll go like this match gets an up and down. And I said this was going to be a quickie. And this was far from a quickie. Probably my longest solo review I've done. Not the longest review I've done. I've done some with Jordan. I went for like an hour. But solo, probably my longest. So, let me know if you prefer this type of review versus the older one. So, how was night one of WrestleMania 38? In my opinion, it was really good. I mean, it started off really bad. We had that Shinsuke Nakamura match with Rick Boogs versus the Usos. It was really short, and Rick Boogs unfortunately got hurt, legitimately hurt. So maybe that's why the match was so short, or maybe it was always intended to be kind of short, but without the injury. And then you had a forgettable Drew and Baron Corbin match, which I forgot to say earlier. After Drew won, he kind of cut the rope with the sword, and the whole rope fell. Whatever, it wasn't that even that interesting. But yeah. And then from there on, the pay-per-view was just firing cylinders because while the Logan Paul and Miz versus Mysterio wasn't no masterpiece, it was a fun one. It was a fun match. And then from there on, the Becky match, the Cody match, the Ronda match, and the Kevin Owens match were really good and really fun, and it was just great wrestling. And honestly, night one did not disappoint. In fact, I would even say night two has a lot to live up to now. Now the question is, will night two be better than night one? I don't know, because to be honest, it's with two bad matches essentially, and the rest of the card being the strong, the other 6 matches. That's pretty good, I would say. So overall, I would say WrestleMania Night 1 was an up. You should do up and down individually and then eventually tell you up, down, and okay. It was damn good. In fact, WrestleMania Night 1 gets the heavy metal horns for awesome. 6 good wrestling matches, 1 bad match, but unfortunately it was mostly due to injury, and then 1 just mediocre match. But the other 6 just deliver one after the other. So it gets the heavy metal horns for awesome.